Welcome back to the Rodecast, guys. Hope you're doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, we're going to be talking about another awesome ice raid, this time in New York. This was happening actually at about the same time that the one in Georgia that we talked about yesterday happened, where now over 475 people have been arrested. If you missed that video, go check it out over here. But in this one, this is a much smaller scale one, but nevertheless important. This is the first significant one I've seen in New York. There have been many others, but they're smaller level operations. But this one was significantly bigger than those that I've heard about before. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the overall raid and specifically focusing in on one of the owners of the company that was raided, literally basically confessing that he was hiring illegals just because they were hard workers. It's okay to break the law, according to him. You'll see him in his own words, and we'll break that down right now.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Tonight, the governor says she's outraged by 2 immigration raids in central New York today. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Coleman. The governor calling the federal action cruel, saying more than 40 adults were seized, including the parents of at least a dozen children. And
Yes, everybody has children. That's no excuse for them to break the law. Many Americans who have children are also arrested when they commit crimes. Was Governor Hochul this outrage when these illegal aliens invaded our country, took our jobs, and committed crimes against New York citizens? Was she outraged then? Because in the Democratic Party, loving criminals and illegal aliens is like an obligation at this point. That's one of the things you have to do. You have to stand up for the criminals and try to defend certain kinds of criminals. If they're white criminals, not so much, but any other kind, you have to love them or be lenient with them. And of course, loving illegal aliens is like the main tenet of the Democratic Party. Okay, the poor illegals who we must bow down to. Okay, and everything in the world everything in America has to be sacrificed for them, according to Hochul. So even though she was talking like she was good on crime back 2 years ago, certain kinds of criminals, like people who broke into our country, Hochul is apparently okay with that. Okay, the foreign invaders she loves. American criminals she'll criticize, but foreign criminals who broke into our country, as long as they steal a job from an American, apparently it's okay. It would be great to see Democrats outrage about things that are happening to actual Americans instead of when ICE does their job and removes illegals who have invaded our country. That's not the time for you to be outraged. That's the time for you to say, oh, good job, federal agents. Thank you for removing these illegals from my state. Okay, that's what Governor Hochul should actually be saying if she was a grateful, patriotic American. But she's not. The Democratic Party that she's part of requires her to bow down to illegal aliens and let them invade our country and be totally okay with it and scream at anybody who disagrees.
Adults were seized, including the parents of at least a dozen children. An immigration advocacy agency says one of the raids was at a bakery in Fulton, the other in Cato.
Ahí va Susana, ahí va Yacilda. Lo están metiendo al...
Video shared with CMY Central by the statewide
Not a word of English, of course. Why learn the language of the country you're invading?
Advocacy group Rural and Migrant Ministry shows people being led out of the facility in Cato and into a van labeled Border Patrol. They don't appear to be handcuffed, but they aren't allowed to go anywhere except that waiting van. Those at the scene say dozens were detained by federal officials. The Rural and Migrant Ministry says these people were taken to a detention center in Oswego County. The sheriff's department there has not responded to our questions.
And tonight, new video from what appears to be the moment that Homeland Security agents confronted workers inside the facility. In this video, you can see agents talking to workers, most of them women, many of whom are...
Yes, wall-to-wall tacos and tamales, fat tacos and tamales, every single one of them. Central body obesity for the win. Okay, every single one of them are like a square. Okay, especially the Peruvians, they're all squares. The whole body is just a chunk of fat, a rectangle of fat. It's amazing how their genetics works.
Using their phones to record the interaction or perhaps call family or for help. This video was sent to a trusted source of CMY Central, who then forwarded to our team.
Our team reviewed these videos and found identifiable federal officers and workers that are seen in both of them. The officers can be recognized by their clothing, some of whom have logos for sports teams and non-government organizations. CNY Central also reviewed the style of their body armored vests and duty belts, along with the contents attached to them, to verify those seen in the two videos are in fact the same people.
Now, local.
Yeah, your team wasted a whole lot of time. The Border Patrol vehicles would have been a giveaway. Also, their ICE badges on their belts would also be another way to identify them. What? So, whatever. Okay, I guess they have to say something in these videos, but you wasted a lot of time. It's very clear. They identified themselves to the people they arrested. Why were you so worried about who they were? I don't see anybody here wearing a mask. Okay, of all the ones that they have shown here, no masks. So I don't know why you were trying so hard to identify and make sure that they were, look, their cars say Border Patrol. You think some random person is going to get their hands on a Border Patrol van and do a fake raid on a place? So what is the point of trying to identify them? Local news, man. They just have to simp for the illegals.
CNY Central also reviewed the style of their body armored vests and duty belts, along with the contents attached to them, to verify those seen in the two videos are in fact the same people.
Now, local law enforcement did help the federal officials in today's raid. Cuyahoga County Sheriff Brian Schenk says his office was contacted by the federal government to assist with traffic and security at the site while the Homeland Security investigation took place. The raid in Cato left dozens of families without answers tonight.
Yeah, that is certainly a question that we've been looking into. Gary Robinson Jr. spoke with part of the company's leadership and people who say loved ones may never come home to their families.
Good. I don't want them to come home to their families. They can go back home with their families if they like. And let me answer all those questions. They were illegal aliens who invaded our country, and now they have been taken out of the country, or at least they're in the process of being deported. Okay. It's not that complicated. Okay. They always say, oh my God, loved ones have questions. The loved ones, first of all, don't even speak English, so they can't talk to you. And second of all, the loved ones know that their family members were illegal. They're probably illegal. Okay. And this owner you're about to hear from is unbearable. Once again, pretending like these people have any right to be in our land.
It started as a normal workday at Nutrition Bar Confectioners until federal agents swarmed the Cato factory. Lenny Schmidt is an owner of the company.
Came into work today and, a bunch of federal agents, sheriff's department were here conducting an investigation. I'm not sure how many, probably could be about 100. Wasn't able to get into the facility. They weren't letting anybody in there.
Schmidt says it was a terrifying scene. Officers with dogs and vehicles surrounding the factory.
The people that were...
Yes, people who commit crimes and hire illegals, they often find law enforcement to be terrifying. It's not that uncommon for criminals to think that the police is terrifying. So give me a break, Schmidt. Okay, they found a German or a Jew, can't tell, to suck up to the illegals here.
Work for us.
And of course, he was a part of the ownership, so he's one of the bosses, and he's complaining that his indentured servants have now been taken away from him. So I guess he has a reason to cry because he's going to be losing a lot of money. If he wants to run his business, if he doesn't get arrested, he'll have to hire Americans. And that's a very stressful thing for him because he's not going to be able to rip them off and make money because Americans actually respect themselves and will demand a fair wage, unlike these tacos and tamales who don't know anything, can't even speak English, and will not demand a fair wage because they can't demand anything because they shouldn't even be here. So they're ready to be exploited by Mr. Schmidt over here.
Every single one of them are wonderful people. They work hard. They come to work smiling. Every one of them is.
Yes, they come to work smiling. What the hell does hard work have to do with anything? I've said this a million times. Just because somebody works hard doesn't mean they can break into my house and stay. The whole point is it is about my will and what I want. I don't want them here. This is our country built by my ancestors, and I don't want random people invading it. I don't care how hard they work. Their work ethic has nothing to do with this. Okay, I can't randomly come into your house and stay if I promise to work hard. The whole point is it's your house and you don't want me coming in, so I can't come in. That is how a common sense person sees the situation. But these left-wing lunatics and these capitalists who want to make money from exploiting these people, these third world peasants, they see it. They don't see it like that at all. Okay, they're like, oh, America's just a random place, and everybody in the world from the third world has a right to break into it. It's not like George Washington and Northern Europeans and Western Europeans built this country. No, randomly America fell out of the sky, and everybody in the world now has a right to come here. Randomly, even though their ancestors didn't build it. This is not their house. This is not their country. The native people of this land, who cares about them and what they want? That's the perspective of dummies like this. And that's why I'll never respect them, because it's based on nothing other than just bleeding heart nonsense based on no history, no legacy, no tradition, nothing. Okay, they just made it up one day. Oh, we need workers, so we're going to screw over Americans and hire illegals, and it's totally okay because they're hardworking. I don't care how hardworking they are, and they're all going back. Okay, you want to make money, do it the right way and hire American. That's the bottom line.
You know, they work hard. They come to work smiling. You know, every one of them is special.
He probably doesn't even know any of their names, and he can't speak to them because they don't speak English. Okay, please, bro, with your whining about how great these illegals are.
The people that work for us are, you know, every single one of them are wonderful people. You know, they work hard. They come to work smiling. You know, every one of them is special, and to have them taken away is not only unfortunate, it's just inhumane almost, the way you see it, you know, as it's being conducted.
Schmidt said,
yes, it's also inhumane for them to illegally invade our country. How come you never recognize that part? It's totally okay to violate our borders and rape America. It's totally okay to do that. But when we ship them out and correct the crimes that were committed by them, that's the inhumane part. Okay, do you see their perspective here? All they care about are the view from their point of view and the illegals. They don't give a damn about what Americans think about their country being invaded by the third world. That part doesn't matter to them. Okay, the only perspective they care about is the perspective of the illegals.
As most of those detained were Hispanic workers,
Of
and
course.
many families now have no idea where their loved ones are. Outside the factory, cars still sit in the lot, a stark reminder of the people who never went home.
Oh, they're going home. They're going to their original home. That's where they're going. Okay, so that part is not true.
Well, a lot of
Many parts of this video are not true.
classes are starting for college students and everybody. This raid has disrupted a lot of families, hardworking families. All the kids are going to come home from school and ask, where's my mom, where's my dad?
Schmidt says the factory lost a full day of production, but the bigger loss,
And that's what he's actually worried about. Not the great, nice, hardworking people, is that his factory didn't make money today. I bet that's what Mr. Schmidt is more worried about. But I could be wrong.
is to the community.
You feel for these people that get taken away, and they have family.
I feel something too. I feel very happy that they were taken away. I want them dragged away even faster. The faster they're out of our soil, the better. Okay, so I agree with you, Schmidt.
Families, they have children, and they don't know what happened to them. You know, there is no no warning or rhyme or reason. It's just boom, gone.
We reached
Good. I want them to boom, be gone. That's why we love ICE. These savages who invaded our country. They have their own countries. They need to go back there and make their countries great. Okay, not break into ours, built by our ancestors, not theirs.
out to numerous state agencies for their response, and we are still waiting to hear back from many of them.
Here's the response. There are a bunch of illegals in New York in this particular factory, and they were taken by ICE. There's your response. Okay, and that's all you need to know. All right, they were never supposed to be here in the first place. And you want to complain about something? How about you complain about them invading our country instead of whining and crying for them? So it's an expected response from the owner. He's losing money. That last part there gave away his game. He's worried about the day of production that he lost with his illegal workers, and that's what I think he's more worried about than the great people with smiles on their face who he can't even talk to because they don't speak his language. Okay, no English. So just another locals news story, trying to make ICE look bad and make it seem like they're doing evil things when they're doing their job to remove people who broke in here illegally. But they're the bad guys because the criminals had families. Everybody has families. Everybody's got spawns. Everybody's got brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. Ted Bundy had a mother and father. He still cut up and killed white women. Okay, and he was arrested and taken away for that, and prosecuted in multiple jurisdictions, by the way. But unlike these people, Ted Bundy was an actual American. So he had rights and he was prosecuted and put in prison. according to the constitutional rights he has. These savages who've invaded our country have no rights other than, civil immigration hearings, which they're going to get, and they're going to be swiftly deported out of fear. And that's exactly what they deserve. And that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in my next one. Stay safe out there.